Look,
You need to chill
I'm
out.
trying, bro. I am chilling, but you're not gonna touch me. I didn't break no law, and I know my statutes are recorded. Hey, I came into CVS and, over here.
Come here, come here, come here.
No.
Come here,
You're
man.
not
We
gonna
just want to help you.
They're gonna kill me tonight.
We're not gonna
They're
kill
gonna
you.
fucking kill me tonight.
Stop.
Hey, y'all don't.
We're literally.
Y'all gonna
Come
have to kill
here.
me tonight.
Come
gonna have
here,
to kill me
come
tonight.
here, come here.
Y'all gonna have to kill me tonight.
We don't want to kill you. Come here.
No, y'all gonna have to kill me because I ain't
Come
going
here,
to jail.
man. You're not
I
going
ain't
to
do
jail.
shit.
You're okay.
I want to see my son.
We're gonna take you to
That's
see your
all.
son, man.
I'm not. Y'all go welfare check.
Hey, relax, man.
Welfare check. Y'all finna get it. Don't you dare.
Come here, come here.
Don't
Come
you
here, man.
fucking dare.
Come here.
Back up. Back up. Back up. My son.
Get away.
My son.
My 13 evening.
My son.
I've been stabbed.
My son.
Send a bus.
My son. Hey.
Watch your hand.
Oh shit, coming out.
Back up. Back up.
Where is he?
Oh my God.
Where's the suspect? 300 mile.
Welcome back, my PBM family. Welcome back. Another episode of Old School Cop presented by PBM. We got the two-man squad tonight. I got the luxury of riding with my big bro who's on the job. He was started out his law enforcement career as a correctional officer for Rikers Island. And then from there, he did so well. He went to the PD as a patrolman. He did well. He did even better as a patrolman. He became a detective. He did youth violence and addiction where he investigated gangs. He did some sergeant work. He did amazing, outstanding police work. He's from the community, for the community. You guys sent in this video, and it is a good one. I like videos like this. You said, Joe, what do you think? What went wrong here? And I'm gonna tell you what went wrong here. The officers was so light on their approach. Normally, officers are their use or their level of force is dictated, right, by their perception of a threat. They did not consider this guy a threat at all. They was close when they was talking to him. When he started backing up, yelling, they started approaching him nonchalantly. I quickly identified within 5 seconds that he had some real problems. Right away, my mind would have been like, "Oh, okay, we dealing with someone with some medical conditions, right? Some mental illness, right?" So I would have increased my distance, my tone. I would have been a lot lower. I would have been trying to calm it down, which I think they was doing a good job. But he was escalated. He kept getting higher and higher. His language got more aggressive. Then when he started backpedaling, and then he reached his right hand into that pocket, right out the gate, I just knew the officers right there. I'd have drew down. I'd have definitely drew down. And me and my partner would have formulated a tactical plan because he was some distance away when he put his arm. I would have ran up on him like you see those officers do. Right out the gate, I'm thinking he has a weapon. He has a weapon. If they wanted to apply a taser at that point, they should have hurried up and did it. One had him at gunpoint. The other one, like if me and Tone worked together on a few occasions. I got the opportunity to work for my big bro in the police department. When we came and we approached a situation very similar, it was like, I'm gonna do this, you're gonna do that, I'm gonna do this. They're constantly reassessing and trying to figure out how to best control whatever the incident is. We are constantly talking to each other. I'm gonna do this, you're gonna do that, I'm gonna do this. These guys was just nonchalantly just walking up. So looking at how they approach was, they considered this a very low threat because their posture, their demeanor. People say in the comments, if he was black, would their approach have been different? It might have been. Who knows? We've seen how there is a difference when police approach blacks and versus when they approach whites, but not every incident is done that way. So I get it and I understand it, but we got to take each incident as an individual incident. Is there a unbalance when it comes down to it? Yes, we've seen it time and time again, but we don't know the background, the nature of these officers. We can't put a glove on all officers, say they're all racist and they all respond like that, because you would have got me and Tone, it would have been a different approach, because of our experiences, because of our understanding and reading body language and coming from environments where we seen people experience mental illness. So our approaches would have been different. So I say that to say that the officer, you've seen him, he got his face badly with a butcher knife. The approach, and then when they had him on the ground, they quickly abandoned. Like, and Tone, you tell me if I'm wrong. If we got somebody on the ground, right, even though he had that knife, when you let go, there is no other option but to use deadly force. I think once they had him on the ground, they should have been able to control him. It was 2 against 1. Not to say that he might have been stronger, but it seemed like they had some form of control, and they all of a sudden just abandoned it and went for their firearms and started shooting. If I can get you down just like that, and I got another officer with me, I'm going to bet on we can take that knife from you because I've been in those situations. Depending on who that officer is that I'm with. You know, I'm like, Tone, grab the knife. Oh, Tone, grab the gun. Like, we've been in situations where I can hold somebody arm or body, bear hug them, lock them in, and I'm telling the officer to grab the weapon. It just seemed to me like once they had him on the ground, they abandoned it really quick and went to their firearms and started shooting. Were they wrong? I just said, I know I could have handled it differently because you got to think we're talking about deadly force here, right? That means someone's life is about to be taken. I never wanted to take somebody's life. And I always said it had to be so to that next level that I did everything I can before I did that. And I've been in some real bad situations to where it came so close, but I was able to still maintain and save that person's life. Because you really, as an officer, you're saving their lives by applying the right tactics, by doing the job like you're supposed to do. Because at the end of the day, you're supposed to be preserving life. Cops forget, right? That's what to be the primary goal of being a police officer, protecting and saving lives. The deadly force and taking life, that's all second. That's supposed to be the last and final option. But we see time and time again it's not. So that's my take on it. Tone, tell me what you think, big bro.
Joe, when we talk about dealing with an individual with a mental health situation, and like you said, in 5 seconds, you can evaluate and see that's what you have, right? Mm-hmm. You know, never in one instance do I ever look at a black or white, Latino age. I never look, you know what I look at? I look at someone with a mental health situation. It doesn't matter what they are, it's a mental health situation. So now I have to play by the playbook of dealing with someone with mental health. And one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to push this individual. You don't want to be aggressive. You have nothing but time on your hands, right? So you sit back and you're trying to gain a rapport and understanding. And Joe, you could probably use some examples because you have some. And I've listened to some of the situations that you've been on, where I've had a situation where an individual would threaten to jump off a bridge. If you come any closer, I'll jump off a bridge. Why would I go closer to instigate or exacerbate the situation to where he wouldn't jump off the bridge? What do? I stay back. I maintain rapport. And you know what he wanted? Yeah, get me, I want a beer and a cigarette. You know what we did? We got a beer and a cigarette, and we maintained dialogue. And at that point, the individual where he's threatening to jump off the bridge, he'll come over. Get the beer and the cigarette, you've developed dialogue. And he has confidence in you. So now it's like you have a rapport, right? In this situation, you have nothing but time on your hands. With the other officer, I mean, you're there, you're engaging. You want to restrict movement. So you want to kind of have some sort of a barrier so the individual's not moving all around the streets. But at the same time, you want to have it to where you're not pushing him all around the streets. So now you have your situation contained. I have a situation contained. I have a dialogue. By that time, you can always have, psychological professionals come out. But at the same time, you're maintaining a dialogue. He doesn't feel threatened. You're listening. You're doing more listening. The officer, I don't know why you would approach somebody and he has a weapon in his hands that can inflict deadly bodily harm to an individual. Why? I don't want to bring it to that level. I would use another lethal weapon, not another lethal weapon, another type of offsetting weapon if I had to, if it got to that point. If he charged me, I could use something else. But you want to maintain a safe distance so you can react, not walk into danger, create a deadly force situation. And now you're talking about having that individual under control after the fact that you somewhat detained him. Once you surrender control, now you're automatically going to have to use deadly force, and that creates a problem. In these situations with the mental health, use time on your side. There's no rush to actually try and, I don't know, detain, apprehend, and move on. You're talking about somebody who has a mental health situation. And you read that in the beginning. Maybe they ignored the signs, but you read that in the beginning and you act accordingly. Every situation has a different outcome to how it's going to be done, you know, and they jumped the gun and they responded very, very incorrectly with this type of situation.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I totally agree. You didn't touch on how they had him on the ground and then abandoned him. What do you think? Because,
Well,
like I told
no,
you,
well, I did say that. I said, remember, I just said, once you have under control and you surrender the control, now you're going to be forced to use a deadly force.
right? Okay.
They had the control. They had the control. And once they gave it up, they created a whole nother situation.
Mhm.
And now you're forced to use deadly force. You have to stay in it, even if you have
Right.
to increase your use of force. You got the mace,
Yeah.
whatever it is you got to do.
Right. Your level of force. You need to escalate. Yeah.
Right, you can escalate it to offset the resistance. And what they did, they surrendered and created a deadly force situation. And now you have a problem.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. You heard
Joe,
it from the
Joe,
squad. You heard. Yeah.
Joe,
Go ahead.
we got some comments in the comment section.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, just can you read the comments?
No, because we on this, comments don't show. That's why I asked you if you got comments. Go ahead and read it out.
Okay.
I don't have my iPad with me. I didn't charge it. I normally read it off my iPad.
Okay. Tawana Yvonne _ Glow says these officers are ready and locked in to shoot to kill. Period.
Well, officers are trained to. You was finishing or no?
No, and she just had a follow-up comment, and the fear factor was the issue.
Oh, okay, yeah. I definitely believe that once they had him on the ground, the boy was stabbed up, bleeding. I believe they were in fear. I definitely believe they like, let's just get off of him and use deadly force. I totally believe that's what happened. As far as officers shoot, like they just wanted to kill him, I don't even think that's a true factor because their approach was so weak. I don't think they really wanted to kill him because look how they approached. We've seen officers. We've seen how gun-ho officers are. I think they were so not wanting to kill, just nonchalant. They didn't consider this guy a threat because their approach was not consistent with, I want to kill somebody. The boy got stabbed. They got to the ground and they was like, oh, let's just get off of him. Our boy's over there bleeding. Let's get off of him. And then now, that might have escalated to, I'm in fear. We need to stop this threat and stop it fast. Wrestling a knife out of his hand or using an arm bar or some form of attack to disarm him, that was out the window. They was in like code red is what we call it. Boy was stabbed in the head. It looked like it was a head stab, like it was a head injury. And they had the guy on the ground still armed. And it was like, just get on. And they just went to their guns. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, no, I agree. If they were so aggressive as they were approaching and the weapon came out, they might have started shooting earlier. And
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I saw that I think they went in too fast and made the guy react. They they escalated the tension and forced the guy to react instead of just relaxing. And as a result of, forcing him, then they just responded. And again, they had him secured they gave up the they let it go, and then that's when they were actually forced to use
Yeah,
deadly force. So
yeah,
it's just it was a poor response, pretty much.
right, right. Thanks for your comment. I
And
appreciate that.
and
Go
uh
ahead.
and Joe, Tawana Yvonne underscore glow, it appears she agreed with Joe, I mean with Tone, that, and her response was welfare check, medical issues for sure. Yeah, knife was visible and used. However, a taser would have been necessary. No shots.
No, I agree with the taser in the beginning. In the beginning, but once they were that close, if the taser fails, somebody else gets hurt. So I, it's hard to really call that one because the taser would have been appropriate as he was walking back. I would have definitely. But once they were so close, if that taser fails, that knife is in you. Tasers are not 100%. We've seen people go through tasers all day. And so I probably wouldn't have went to my taser being that close. Once we hands on, I either would have stayed hands on, and if I felt I was being overpowered, I'd have went to my firearm, not no taser that close. I would have definitely wanted to create distance. So if the taser failed, I would have had time to go to my firearm. But I appreciate the comment. I appreciate that.
All right,
Tone?
that's all the comments for this segment, Joe. You can go ahead,
Okay.
close out
All
and go
right.
into the next one.
I appreciate the comments, people. Appreciate it. Keep sending the videos. Like I said before, if you have any beef with the police, side of the road, on the street is not the place to fight. Officers, you see more officers getting arrested, terminated, suspended. People are getting bags. You have more accountability now on law enforcement than you have ever seen. It's so bad that in New York City, the cops have a hands-off approach. And Tone, you could definitely touch on that. Like they're not doing anything. They're just standing there, and not a lot is being done.
Yeah, absolutely. And to the individual who made the comment, just so she understands, it went from a verbal to now deadly force with the weapon. So the taser, now you have a taser, the deadly force supersedes the taser. I'm trying to explain it in layman terms so she understands. You know what I'm saying? And it brought it to a whole nother level. But at the same time, deadly force, I'm not going to keep coming in aggressively. I'm going to back off and try and bring it back down, being prepared to use deadly force if need be, but I don't want to. And I'm hoping he put that weapon away or I can reestablish rapport so it don't get to that point. But once you have the deadly force and you move in and then you surrender, it's not going to be a good look, unfortunately.
I'm glad you said that. The audience need to know. Like officers are trained on the continuum of force, and the continuum has to match the threat at that time, and it constantly changes. A good officer can make them adjustments just as fast as the threat level change. So deadly force being the final and foremost, they were in this situation where you couldn't back down because the threat level was so high. You had to use deadly force. You're right when it came down to a taser would have been most effective if you rewind it in the beginning when you had the distance, not when you right up close and y'all in the mix of it. Taser fails, you are dying or getting badly stabbed and have to seek some medical attention. In the beginning, I totally agree. If the distance allowed for the taser. I definitely, when he started yelling, going back, and they decided like, yo, this guy's a threat, tase him right then and there. So you still had time to respond. You could have went through your use of force continuums at that current moment. But we can sit back and quarterback it where we've been there, we've done that. We've hopefully that we shared enough of the law enforcement and that you have a better understanding about police practices and try to give them, more of an understanding, knowing the training. So see you next video, and please continue sending in your videos.